Ladies and gentlemen, Binnall of America!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Tim Binnall.
No commercials, no subscriptions, no network, no rules. And at the end of the day, my friends, no comparison. Welcome back to another edition of BOA The Revival. Looking forward to tonight's show. We're going to meet someone new here on the program. Her name is Meghan Hock. She is a solo paranormal investigator and researcher in northeastern Wisconsin. And she's behind the organization Already Here Investigates, which you can find at alreadyhereinvestigates.com. And she crossed my path during, I guess, what we'll call the great blue sky paranormal exodus. I'm probably going to find, I have to go really take some time and look at these people that have started following me, and I follow them. It's like, but in mid-November, like everybody from the fucking paranormal community up and picked up sticks and moved over to blue sky. And it's been great because I've discovered a whole bunch of people that I hadn't seen before or haven't crossed paths with before. And Meghan was one of them. And what piqued my interest was solo paranormal investigator. I was like, oh, what's that? And then the name Already Here Investigates. I'm like, that's interesting too. So, as I was sort of going through this blue sky list, and if you're following me on Blue Sky, folks, if you have an organization or something like that, there's a good chance I'm going to tap you here in 2025 to come on the show, because I like meeting new people and I like hearing their stories. So as I was going through the list, I said, let's get Meghan on the program and find out. We'll get answers to these two burning questions in my mind about the solo paranormal investigator aspect and the name Already Here Investigates. So we'll get into much more, of course. So welcome to the show, Meghan. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Hi, I am terrified, but also very, very excited to be here. I listen to podcasts all the time. This is my first guest spot. So this will be a very interesting one to kick off the, interview experience. So,
era. Now you're in the podcast era.
The era of, 2025, Meghan guests on every podcast possible. That is now going to be a manifestation of mine.
I'm telling you, you'll get the Binnall bump. Now you've been on my show. People are going to reach out to you and try and get you on their shows. I'm sure it'll happen.
And I was scrolling through, saw your messages, scrolled through on Blue Sky, I'm like, I'm going to see what this guy's up to. Scrolled through and noticed a few names that piqued my interest, namely because John Tenney and the Newkirks are massive idols and inspirations of mine. I went, oh my God, if I can get just an inch closer to them, because the restraining order they probably have out on me doesn't allow me within about like 250 feet, I'm going to guess. So I'm hoping that this crosses their airwaves and, puts me on their radar, because I am an astute student of theirs.
All right. Oh, that's cool. Well, I'll humble brag here. This is like such a geeky paranormal humble brag, but it's like I could pick up the phone and call Teddy right now and be like, hey, what are you doing, Teddy? I usually call him when I'm drunk. He may be drinking too. I don't know, but it's a lot of like 11:30 at night calls. Like, what are you doing?
Like, I got questions to ask. You better get your notebook out and start writing them down.
Exactly. So we always start out the first time appearance for a guest, the bio, the background is pretty standard. Who is Meghan Hock? And I know a little bit about your background, but the listeners don't. So tell us how you got mixed up in all this.
It is an illustrious story, I would say. It would be the premiere of Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi Channel back in 2003. The room next to me had our living room TV set with the VCR, and I set that bad boy to record the first episode of Ghost Hunters because I went, this show sounds kind of interesting. I had been reading the very standard entry-level books of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz that every paranormal kid reads at one point in time. And, watched the first episode, went, this is interesting. And it's been 21 years later, and I'm running my own investigative group, doing all of this sort of things, going all over the country, and investigating, Waverly Hills, Edinburgh Manor, Farrar, Schoolhouse, Bobby Mackey's. That was on my bucket list. So rest in peace. The Bobby Mackey's building. That was an experience and a half, but it all started with the Sci-Fi Channel, and then it just kind of tumbled out of there. And in the last few years, I've been moving in a more holistic approach with things. I started doing Reiki classes and all that stuff, because what are you going to do? Midlife crisis. You're gonna go into esoteric things, and started doing that, and just kind of noticed it. I'm like, oh, I've been weird my entire life, so let's just pull the throttle off on this bad boy and go whole hog. And it's been an adventure ever since. I've been with a couple other groups in the past, and that's kind of where I'm veering off on my own and kind of doing solo stuff. Yeah, you rub edges with other people, and sometimes your thought process and philosophy don't really mesh well with other people's thought processes and philosophies, and just kind of blazing my own path at this point in time. So it's been weird. It's been weird and wild the last few years. So
interesting. Okay. So yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. I don't play well with others. So I tend to roll on my own most of the time. So I guess was there something that compelled you to, because you were like, for lack of a better term, you were like a fan or a consumer, or essentially of the field. You know, you're a researcher too. I mean, you read, if you've been reading about it for like 20 years, that counts as a fucking researcher. I know people will like roll their eyes, but it's like, look, you kind of, you can't really go to like get your master's in ghosts and shit. So, but if you spend 20 years reading about them, you're pretty well versed. So, but what made you decide then to make that jump from like, okay, I'm consuming this stuff. Now I want to be like a participant in this and start producing stuff and being, a hands-on, boots on the ground sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like a twofold part with that. Discussing it with my family, I'm like, I'm going to go on this podcast and I have to talk about my backstory. And it's just kind of, there's the weird Megan with lowercase w and weird Megan with uppercase W. What kind of kickstarted wasn't just the ghost hunters, watching them do what they were doing and seeing, their debunking techniques and kind of setting the basis for how I was like, yeah, I want to know how to do that, because, everything that goes bump in the night isn't paranormal.
Right.
It's your washer or dryer. It's a bat in the wall. It's your next door neighbor, doing whatever they do at 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
And kind of exploring that, because like, how else would you figure something out if you're not debunking it or trying to get to the bottom of the thing? It was actually when my grandma moved back in with my grandpa. That's a whole thing.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole different scenario, but she moved back in with my grandpa, and we were renovating his house. So his house was built in 1906. And it was built from a series of log cabin, it was a logging camp with cabins on it. And so it was built with different aspects of these cabins. And my grandpa sleeps in the room that he was born in. So we're talking homebody here. Like this is the homestead. And I made myself a room upstairs, and it, the family stories of my mom grew up in that house, and she has two other sisters, and they all have had experiences and would tell me about it because, like, I'm just a curious little kid about seeing their great grandpa walking through their foyer, tipping his hat at them and walking through the door. And the man's been dead for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And that was just like dinner time conversation.
Yeah.
And when we started going up there more regularly and spending the night, I made myself a room upstairs and started hearing really weird things at night. And I would just start, talking out loud and just be like, well, that's weird. And then just go to bed because, like, I'm talking to an empty room. There's no one here. And then the footsteps started outside the carpet. And so, what else are you supposed to do? Then get a clipboard and a piece of paper and write on it, if you can read this, please write me your name. Leave it on your bedside dresser, and then leave for the week and hope that whoever's walking around upstairs would squiggle something on the piece of paper. And that was just a normal, every weekend I'd go up, I'd run upstairs and go and look at the clipboard. And one day there was a squiggle. The screech echoed birds off the trees. And I come running downstairs. I'm like, oh my God, my plan. I've set the trap.
Yeah.
Someone responded. And about 6 months goes by and nothing happens. I'm like, oh, maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was one thing. And my grandma decides to tell me that she went upstairs and squiggled on it because she was tired of hearing me try to summon something in the house. So,
well, at least she told you.
At least she admitted it, which was kind of nice. But at the same time, like, I'm a tiny little Ghostbuster. Like, just let me have this win, just this one time. But it's this weird parallel in my life of just kind of going normal things and then just being like, oh, you and your friends and your parents don't talk about, like, the ghosts that they saw in their house at dinner time. Or, you don't set your ghost traps up and all that stuff and then just go back to school and just kind of do your own thing. I always thought I was going to be a chicken. So I was never going to be like, you know what? I'll let the experts do what they do for investigating. Because you're not going to catch me hauling ass around in an empty building with, 87 demonic spirits and doing all of this stuff.
But you did.
But I did, and I have, and I will continue to do so. So that's the crazy part that I still to this day can't wrap my mind around that.
All right. That you just decided to jump out there. Yeah.
That I decided just to do this.
Yeah.
I started, I have a history degree, so that kind of helps with digging into backgrounds in buildings. My mom has done genealogy work for every branch of our family for almost 25 years. So I have her expertise with finding things. So it's just kind of naturally all of these skills and talents just kind of were sitting there waiting for the opportunity. And I worked at 2 historical places in Green Bay. One being Heritage Hill State Park, which has a couple dozen buildings, some recreated and some original to the time periods that were just spruced up. And then down the road is a historical house owned by a family. And there's weird things that went on, but it's an old house. It was built in 1837. Like it's settling, as everyone likes to say. And I was there one day giving a tour, and the owner of the house, head of the historical society, was like, oh, we're having a paranormal team come tonight. And, we have one of the tour guides doing that. And I went, I'm coming. I have keys. Like
nice.
It was without a second thought, hopped on in. I had a flashlight and a recorder and joined in because I was like, oh, I'll just, if we split up into 2 teams, I can give information. Like, I'll just run the tour guide. I was, as they say, balls deep in the investigation within 30 seconds. And at the end of the night, went to one of the team members and I said, are you guys looking for new team members? And they went, oh, we have an application process. I will fill it out right here and now. Like, please let me join. Yeah. And that was 6-7 years ago that I did that. And it's just snowballed ever since.
And then, all right. So explain the name Already Here Investigates and give us the origin of that. So how did that come about?
That is the origin of that is on my notes app on my phone that says dumb paranormal team name idea. It says Already Here Paranormal. How I explained it to a friend once, and I'm trying to remember how I worded it, was we shouldn't worry about where spirits are because they're already here. There's no questioning it. I mean, you can believe it wholeheartedly, or you can be skeptic about it. But every skeptic has that one little moment that has them questioning. And I'm like, oh, I can come in with like my ghost hunting equipment and be like, don't be scared. We're already here. So
I noticed like on the Facebook page, it's like to fill out the request. It's like request already. And it was like I'm like, oh, Jesus, that's very, gives a very interesting tone. Request already.
Yeah. So it's more or less a thing of like, I'm already here. I'm already doing this. Mm-hmm. The spirits aren't going anywhere because they're already here. We don't have to worry about summoning them or trying to figure out where they are. They're 3 inches away from us. They're already here.
Yeah. Interesting. So now, when did you launch this?
Strangely enough, April of this year was when I pulled the trigger and launched the Facebook page, but it had been percolating for about a year or so. I had a holistic healing page and I'm like, I don't know if I can start posting, spooky things on that but at the same time, holistic stuff and paranormal are kind of the same thing. You're both working with energy. You're both working with, different forms of energy. You've got spiritual energy, but then, you've got, your chakra energy and all of that. But that all interweaves in with all of that all together. So I, started putting out little feelers of like, well, people have said I should make my own team. What do you think? And I had a couple of friends that are like, oh, I'd join you. And I was like, actually, like, oh, I'm cool. Like, I was just hoping that you guys would support me in this decision. And maybe, I can invite you along on a couple of things. But like, if I'm making team t-shirts, it's just going to be one shirt. It's going to be for me. So that was, I was at work one day and I was on Facebook and I just went, how do you create a page on Facebook? And just whipped it out. And it's been wonderful. It's been the teams that I've met and have been interacting with are amazing. I've been learning so much and having my own little internal dilemmas about how people bring up topics. And I'm like, no, that's not how we do these things. But it's like, but yes, it is. And maybe I just have to stop being such a geriatric paranormal investigator and just kind of ease up a little bit and let new ideas come in and also help other teams that are kind of stuck in the mud like I am and just be like, hey, maybe, we can start trying this because I've seen 3 other teams post about it. So let's tag them and start this conversation going on this other page.
Is this like techniques, you mean? Or instruments used?
Theories.
Okay.
Like, I'm a very easygoing equipment person. I like my spirit boxes. I like my EMF detectors. I have REM pods. I love a good pendulum and a good set of dowsing rods. Like, that is, if it can fit into a backpack, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And I see all these setups and I'm just like, where do you store all of this? Like,
Right.
Do you drive places? If you fly, like, do you have to check your bags and be like, this is all of my stuff? And I'm a little hard-headed when it comes to things, because it's like, I've been doing and researching and being in here this whole time, and now I'm kind of let out into the world.
Right.
And everyone's got all these fancy equipments, and I'm like, I've got my dowsing rods. And they work just fine. Don't tell me I need to get these things, but like, I have my little dream wish list of, ovuluses and different types of wire traps and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That I want, but it's just trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate them into my thought process. Is the stick in the mud aspect that I've got, that I'm very like, this is how it's always been. But it's like, they used to just shake tables back in the day. So
right.
We have EMF detect. We have so much technology that's coming out that it's mind-boggling
It's hard to keep up with. I mostly just know the ones you mentioned, but I know there are people that have like, some people are super into it. Some people are super into like the gadgets and the devices and shit. I can't really make heads or tails of them, so I kind of don't really find them all that compelling, because it's like, it's too technical for me in a way. But hey, you have to each their own, right? If you're like super into the tech, the devices and shit, go for it.
I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
I'm into, if I can click a button and have it delivered to my house, that is A-okay with me. I watched an entire, probably a dozen videos on how to build a Frank's box and I had my everything I needed in my Amazon cart, and then I looked at the price and I'm like, I could just buy it pre-made already. And I'm like, I'm going to have like hair sticking out here because I've somehow electrocuted myself putting this radio system together. So I'm like, you know what? I will leave that up to the experts, and they can enjoy getting part of my paycheck and having it delivered to my house. So that is all theirs. I'm more than happy to be a consumer of the paranormal goods.
Well, I'll give you, I will share some advice that John Tenney gave me.
Oh my God.
When I was getting ready to do a ghost hunt earlier this year. He said analog shit, like film cameras and analog tape recorders are, I don't want to say better. I don't think he said better, but like he likes using that stuff because it doesn't have all the digitalness of the stuff is available now. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of butchered his advice, but that was that. You get what I'm saying? Analog.
Oh yeah.
Like he's like, go down to like the Salvation Army or wherever, the thrift shop or whatever, and get like a tape recorder they have there and like use that.
The one lone standing Radio Shack.
Yeah, exactly. I've only dabbled in ghost hunting over the last like 6 months. Really kind of gotten into it by having a lot of people on the show who do it. So I do find it interesting. I'm still not sure if it's for me yet or not, but I do on occasion enjoy it. Now you mentioned one of the things I was going to mention. You kind of alluded to it, but I'm glad you didn't tell the story because then I would have killed my note. But so you did a investigation. Oh, actually, That's such a great setup. All right, I'll just go with this question. Then we'll circle back. You did an investigation at Bobby Mackey's Music World, which you said R.I.P. when you were talking about it, and they shut it down. They tore it down. They tore down the building, which is pretty remarkable in a way that they tore down this. I didn't realize, like, I thought it just. I read the article that they tore it down, and I was like, oh, it must be just sort of a local thing that it's haunted. But apparently it was quite the destination for ghost investigations.
On like the top 10 spots in America, I would probably put Bobby Mackey's in the top 5 for people.
Okay.
It was on like when Travel Channel was good back in the early 2000s and the teens before a certain Zach Bagans showed up on the screen. They would do like those most haunted in America type things. And they'd show the keeper. Oh my God, I can't remember what his name is. The groundskeeper, or who he would stay is Carl, and he had a caretaker. That's the word for it.
There you go.
I was trying to think of something spooky. Caretaker is perfect.
Caretaker is pretty spooky.
And he had his demonic possession there, and had an exorcism done, and there's a well in the bottom of the basement that allegedly a woman's head was thrown in there, and it was just a happenstance. The team I was on had made arrangements to go to Waverly Hills, and I was like, well, it's in Kentucky. Bobby Mackey's in Kentucky. How big of a difference? It's like a 2-hour drive from.
Yes.
It's
Kentucky,
pretty close.
Well, I was going to say but Kentucky's very spread out. It's a lot of weird shit, but it's actually everything is kind of like 2 hours away. It's like, oh, geez. But yeah.
Like like I had to rewire my brain in there because we were staying in Cincinnati, and then you cross the river, and then that's where Bobby Mackey's was. But then you went down in a different direction. There's Waverly Hills, but you mentioned to anybody like, hey, we're investigating Waverly Hills. And they're like, are you going to Bobby Mackey's? And I was like, yes, we are. I made the reservations. When we went, it was like, I don't even know. It was on my wish list for years, because you just watch all these investigators do all these things at Bobby Mackey's Music World. And I mean, the outside of it was exactly how every documentary put it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is spectacular.
Like for you.
Yes, okay. I have arrived. And then we did Bobby Mackey's on a Friday night. And then we went the next day and did Waverly. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
So
I love that.
It was an intense weekend, and kicking it off at Bobby Mackey's was. I'm honored to be one of, the few thousands of teams that were able to go to this location, but. Not to brag or anything, but when I scroll on Facebook and everyone's like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Bobby Mackey's, I'm like, do I type like I did and just keep scrolling on? But the weirdest, so you go down to the well, and the story goes that her name is Johanna, I believe. She had gotten together with this prominent doctor. Actually, no, he was a dentist in the area, and she wanted to be with him. He didn't really want to be with her because of her status in the community. And allegedly, supposedly, she became pregnant, and he got another one of his dentist doctor friends to kind of do a botched abortion, and she passed. Oh, no. So instead of, not to be like true crime junkie, but there's a river, like you could have just boonk. There's claims and witnesses of this carriage coming up to, at the time before Bobby Mackey's was Bobby Mackey's, it was a distillery, And then it was a butcher, and they had this well, and so they tossed her head in the well and then got rid of her body elsewhere.
Jeez.
And they've never found her head. There's nothing in the well. They, talk about maybe someone dug it up and got rid of it. It never happened. And we're down there with a tour guide, and we're, 3 feet away from the lip of this well. And behind me, there's a staircase, and there's a little room off to the side. And we're like, well, the medical college is down the road. What if, head goes into a bag, and one of the theories is that they tossed in the incinerator to get rid of it. And there's an investigator next to me, and we're kind of leaning up against the wall, and we hear this woman coming from the room going, "Yup," as we were supposing and we just kind of turned around, and it's on a recording, but I was so mad we didn't get the woman's voice on the recording. It was between us, and I'm like, oh my God, I have circumstantial evidence that proves that this is Johanna saying that her head got thrown in the incinerator. This is amazing. And we turn into this room, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And we're like, did you not hear this woman agree with us? And they're like, no, like, let's just say if we're all agreeing the head went in the incinerator, like she just confirmed it for all of us. And I have a recording of me going, I know that voice is on this recorder. This is going to be amazing evidence later on. It just womp womp. Nothing happened. Geez. But
that's the nature of the this phenomena. It messes with you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. You mentioned, you touched on something I noticed sort of being around a lot of ghost investigators is like they all like they're like music fans, kind of like talking about who they've seen in concert, but for them it's like places they've been, and they're kind of like, I've been to and you did it, and it's cool. It's just sort of a natural trait that they have. I don't see like in UFO buffs or Bigfoot people, because with ghost thing, it's like these destinations. Like everyone's like, they all kind of rattle off their like greatest hits of like where they've been and where they investigated. It's kind of like a funny little quirk that I've noticed from a lot of people. It's cool. I like it. It's neat because then you can kind of compare. And sometimes you haven't been anywhere that I've been. But sometimes I've been to a lot of places, but Waverly Hills is like everyone seems to go there. And so my buddy Cutchin really wants to I think he went there once before. He wants to do another investigation. So I may end up doing that.
I would tag along.
We'll let you know. You know. I'm really bummed out about this Bobby Mackey thing, because as we were alluding to here now, the news, they tore it down. They tore down the building. Mm-hmm. Why though? Why, like, couldn't anyone? There's a guy here in I don't know if he's in Massachusetts actually, but there's a guy in the paranormal community who runs ghost tours, like a national syndicate of ghost tours, and he's buying up all these fucking haunted locations. It's kind of a little unsettling, but he bought the Lizzie Borden house, he bought the Velasca Axe murder house, he bought a super haunted place down in New Orleans. So I'm surprised that he didn't get his hands on this. Is there a reason why they tore down what sounds like was a significant paranormal landmark?
It was condemned by the city.
Oh no!
So Carl's apartment was on the top level of the building, and when we went, I mean, if you've ever been in a dive bar, quadruple it to the point where you're like, I'm keeping my hands at eye level. I'm going to delicately sit on the millimeter edge of a seat. I mean, it was coming from like having this place idolized, and I truly respect the teams that the Gatekeeper Paranormal was the one that was in charge of doing the paranormal tours there. They did a wonderful job, but they also were like, this place is kind of gross. And we're like, yeah, this is kind of gross.
Wow. Was it still in operation as a bar, or at that point was it just like an empty building that people rented to ghost hunt in?
On and off, they would have some some entertainment going on, but it was more or less like you couldn't have too many people because the floor may cave in
shit.
it. But it was Carl's apartment was what got condemned. And then they're like, well, if you're condemning the apartment, we got to take it down. But the theories that are going around and being tossed out is they're going to rebuild it. So they moved, I mean, it is a venue. So they moved the Bobby Mackey World, Music World venue to a different location, and they're rebuilding the building.
Yeah.
Whether or not the spirits go back to inhabit this building is going to be interesting to see if they, do a couple of ghost tours to see, if the bones of the building are gone, who's sticking around and seeing what's going on. So I'm more interested in that and seeing where that's going to go, because the building is supposed to be done in 2026, and I've got my eye on the socials to see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that to me is super interesting. The question of what will happen next. If they built, I doubt they will, but if they built the building to the same, like a replica, then I could see. But if it's a completely different building, then I don't know. It'd be really, really interesting. Yeah, that's definitely. I'll be keeping my ear to the ground on that whole thing too, because it's really rare, I guess you could say. I can't think of too many instances where they tear. I mean, I think there have been haunted places torn down, but then they rebuild on top of it. And it's I don't know. It's interesting.
It was an odd experience. It's kind of like watching your childhood home get torn down, or something. You're very heavily invested in it because that's everybody who is everybody that you follow in the paranormal world knew of Bobby Mackey's or had investigated it once or several times. So when it went through, it's like, oh, they're tearing it down. Everyone's like, oh shit, what do we do? That hotspot's gone. But I'm nerdy enough to be like, let's go. Let's go back down just to see if it's,
Yeah, I would definitely check it out, the new one, just to see if it, to see if there's any sort of vibe there or whatever. But yeah, I had heard about it. I'm sure because it's got a funny name. So I remember hearing Bobby Mackey's Music World in the past, but I didn't realize how prominent it was in the community. So yeah, that's pretty wild. Now I remember the question that tripped me up as we were getting into the Bobby Mackey. So you launched. So we're going to kind of back up a little bit. You launched already here, Investigates, and on there we were joking. You have the form. It's like a request already. So have you received? You don't have to blow the cover on Sophia in whatever town. I don't need to know. Respect the privacy of your clients and all that. So, but have you received requests from people saying, "Hey, there's something going. Would you come and investigate my house?"
Yeah, actually, over the summer I did, which I felt like I should have framed the little email notification, like people frame their first dollar. This was awesome. I have a couple other friends that in the area that run teams, and my friend Michelle messaged me and said, "Hey, I think this is right up your alley." And it was a whole bunch of videos and pictures, and I started corresponding with the client. I'm like, there's something that's not right about what you're presenting with me. And I have a 2-step process, which a lot of teams are starting to adopt, but it's also varies on time and location, where I like to go and do a walkthrough first just to see if it's worth my time, because this is a hobby. I would love for it to be a full-time job one day, like traveling the country, doing tours and conferences and speaking events and everything. But right now it's kind of like, I work at 7:00 in the morning. I can come for 2 hours. And if I don't feel anything or my equipment doesn't do much, let's wait it out 2 weeks and see, try it again. So I brought a couple of friends with me out to the first location, and we did a walkthrough, and it was very much like Scooby-Doo mysteries. We're all around this house, and then we all meet up at the central location, and we're like, okay, out of the 6 things that they're asking us to help them with, we can kind of explain away 4 of them. What the fuck are the other 2?
Right.
Like, what do we do with that? And that's what hooks me is if I can help you explain away, like I want to educate you on how to not be fearful in your home. That, like I said earlier, not everything that bumps in the night is spooky. I want to help you understand that because there's a, big stigma around the paranormal where everything nowadays is a glass falls in your kitchen and you're like, well, that's a demon, so I might as well bring a priest in. Like,
yeah, demons are big now. Yeah,
they're huge, and that's the shift I don't like a lot in paranormal. Is everything has to be demonic and evil. It's like, maybe you have a mouse problem. Like, have you? How do I know? Like, do you have open windows? Do you have pets? Like, if I can help narrow that down and give you a sense of calm and ease in your home or your business, that's what I want to do. But I'm going to come back if I go, and the one other thing,
right?
I don't know what that is. So I will be coming back with my equipment and trying to figure that out. And that location still, we did the walkthrough. I was like, yep, we did it for like an hour. I'm like, yep, sold. We are coming back. There's stuff that's not making sense. And it was about a 45-minute drive back to my house. And that entire time, the brain trust was created. And we were throwing out ideas. Some of the team had talked to other family members. I kind of just whirlwind like a tornado through the house with my equipment, checking in on everybody. So I had 7 different theories going on in my head. And when we did the investigation, we did it for about 3 hours. And the interesting part was it was thunderstorming both times. So we were like, what's that all about? Like torrential downpours we got there. So we're all like soaking wet, like, hi.
Okay, but what let me jump into this. What was the stuff you couldn't explain?
They would, and I don't know, and they would send us stuff after we left of things of like, we did the walkthrough and they're like, things fly off the shelves. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You have a cat. Like, are we 100% sure that the cat's not, fucking around with things?
Stealthy, yeah.
Just being a cat. But they would text me at 9:00 at night going, so we were watching TV and the TV just levitated 3 inches off the cabinet.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's not a mouse problem.
And I'm like, okay. What were you doing beforehand? Like, I'm trying to sit here on my couch on my phone being like, you're 45 minutes away from me.
Right.
I don't know if that is true. I don't know if it isn't true.
You got to be like, I'm sure you get lady or man or couple, you got to like film this with your cell phone and send it to me. Then
yes.
You can't really do anything with someone being like, hey, my TV fucking levitated. Yeah, you're right. You're like 45. You're like, come on.
Like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, talk out loud. Just be like, if you're in the house, if you wouldn't mind, leaving the expensive stuff alone. Yeah. Just kind of set boundaries. I'm very big into, this is your space. They're either invading it or are just happen to be around. And, set your boundaries. Explain to them, hey, this is my house. Quiet time's at 10. I wake up at 6. You can do whatever you want while I'm at work. But when I come home, like, you better be on that side of the house. I will be over here. So I did a lot of instructing in the week that went between the walkthrough and our investigation. And I do have on my request form, and it's something that other teams have been doing, and I find really interesting is, like, before I do the walkthrough, I want at least a week's worth of evidence. If you can set up a camera, like everyone seems to have home security systems,
right?
Ring and Wise. Set that up in the area that is having the biggest issue. record something for me. Tell me who's in the house. Is it every single day that it's happening at 3:00 in the morning?
Right.
Is it happening when one person's in the house? Is it happening when no one's in the house? Like if I can figure out like, oh, it's this person, I can put on that holistic hat and go, we're going to work on, some energy shifting and doing that sort of thing.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And, if it's not the person, it's like, well, it happens when we're not in the house. It's like, okay, well, then it's the house. So I'll put the paranormal thing on and try to figure out what's going on. But this location was both holistic, where the clients had some interesting things going on with them, and the previous tenants of the house had some interesting things that kind of got left over. And they brought some things in. They went and did some stuff at an abandoned bar down the road that they neglected. They neglected to tell me at the time. And I was like, oh, hey, FYI, let me know that ahead of time that you guys did some weird things down the road, because that could probably be one of the reasons why things are happening in your house.
I got to know what my imagination runs wild. What were they doing in the abandoned bar?
According to one of my friends who spoke to two of the clients, these two went down the road one day to the abandoned bar and, quote unquote, did some of that weird shit people do, unquote. And when they came back to the house, one of the occupants started getting bruises on their arm, and other ones started having altered mental states. And I didn't know that because they didn't tell me. They just offhandedly told one of my other investigator friends, like, oh, yeah, there's a bar down the road that has like a whole bunch of broken windows. Like, yeah, we crawled in, did the weird shit, and then came back because we felt strange.
Okay,
okay. Like,
all right. So
you kind of did it to yourself in a way. So
that's weird. Again, my imagination runs wild. So they weren't smoking meth or having sex in the abandoned bar. They were doing something else.
Something.
Occulty, they claim they were into some kind of occulty stuff.
You're not far off with your original assumptions with that part of Wisconsin. So it wouldn't be.
There's only so many reasons to go into an abandoned bar.
Precisely. If you're gonna break in, there's like one of three things you're gonna do, and you hit two of them right on the head.
Wow. So all right, yeah, interesting. So it could be. But you say those the current occupants or the previous ones?
The current occupants. So they had moved in. We were there in July. They had moved in April of this year, and immediately had stuff happening. But one of the they sent a video, and the video was what sold me, because I have a soft spot for kids, and just because of experiences I had as a little kid, then I'm like, you know what? I don't need you growing up being fearful of certain things. So let me kind of come in and set up. It was a baby monitoring system that they had. And the baby was in a room, door was shut, playing with toys. And from the door, this shadow shoots in.
Oh, God.
Goes in front of the baby. And you can watch the shadow like change it went dark. And the baby kind of looks up from the toys. So I was like, oh, it saw what was going on. And it went out through the wall, and the baby's head turns and looks at the wall where the shadow went through.
Wow, that's a great ghost video.
And I'm like, oh, and I sat and threw it up on the TV and went cell by cell on this thing and pointing everything out and watching the changes in the grays, because there's a black and white monitor, so changing the grays and all that stuff. And I'm like, we gotta go. Like this, the bruises can be explained, the altered mental state can be explained. somehow. That can't be, because
Right.
it's a baby. So it's not like the baby setting up this big elaborate trap.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to, I can't imagine it's like a bug or something, because like the bug would be like between the baby and the camera somehow. I think.
And you watch it, and I mean the pixels change and everything. So it was a whole big thing. So I go and meet this family, and I'm like, what room was this video taken in? They're like, oh, it was our old apartment, like another hour away. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, man.
Like, is the baby fine? Is the baby chill? Are we good? Like, is the baby okay? And they're like, yeah, the baby's fine. Like, okay, good. Would have loved to have known that was your old apartment. So we're going to work on communication the next time we hang out.
Yeah, shit. Have you driven over to the other? Have you found the apartment and knocked on the door and been like, you need to see this video that was filmed in your apartment?
Yeah. Do you sleep in this room? This is what happens in here.
Yeah, that would freak me out.
No, I haven't. But it would be interesting to see what if those current occupants have anything going on in that apartment. But yeah, it was that first case was a lot of miscommunications, a lot of like first time blunders, because I'm so used to working on teams where kind of everyone has a designated role, where I was like, oh shit, I'm the one in charge now. Oh my God, I'm but a small child. Like, please don't turn to me and ask me what to do, because I'm going to stare at you going, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of like that myself. Yeah. So interesting. Okay. So is the case closed now, essentially? You're kind of just like, all right, it's nothing much I could do with this anymore.
Yeah, we did an Estes method session, which is one of my go-to. I love it. That's one of my absolute favorite things to do, because you just get really good, clean responses and answers to things. What we ended up, so we did the Estes method and found out that one of the occupants of the house had been using like those spirit box apps on their phone, like all the time. And we're like, I don't think
I'm not an app fan myself.
Like, all of a sudden he's like, oh, like I didn't know a REM pod looked like that. I've only ever seen them on TV. And I'm like, what do you mean? You said you had no interest in the paranormal, and now you're telling me you have never seen a REM pod up close? And he's like, yeah, I've got all these apps on my phone. I'm like, all right. Yeah. I'm feeling like I've been bamboozled. But when we were doing the walkthrough for the investigation in the master bathroom, I walked in and I just went, oh, this is so gross. And one of the investigators is like, physically or like spiritually gross? And I'm like, I don't know. It's dark. I'd rather not know what this bathroom looks like. It just felt really gross.
Yeah.
And we started a spirit box session in the bathroom. And I'm like, I turned to one of the homeowners. I said, when you shower in here, do you feel like you're being watched? And one of the homeowners was a woman, and she goes, I don't shower in there. Like, it is.
Yeah.
If I have to, it's every light on, doors open. Like, the other occupants in the house know that I'm showering. So if they have to come and get me because of whatever is in here. And I was like, well, that wasn't in the original claim. Like, you guys were talking about all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm going to deal with the thing in the bathroom, because the thing in the bathroom was super gross.
Yeah.
And would say said a couple of real nasty things just had this gross voice coming through the spirit box. And I'm like, oh, so you're a weird pervert. This is great. You can leave now. So head on out. And I caught a couple of good EVPs, put a little video together for the client. I was like, well, if you need anything from me, let me know. And I just got an email back like, thanks for the video. We're good.
Oh, weird.
Haven't heard from him since.
Interesting. Wow.
So it was it was so strange. I tell that story to so many people that aren't even interested in the paranormal. And they're like, that is the strangest thing ever. I'm like, I don't, it's very odd. it made so much sense to go and investigate it, but then you got there and you're like, none of this is making sense. I can't put my finger on what's going on.
Yeah, these are the abandoned bar people.
Yes, this is abandoned bar people.
Interesting. Well, the people, as you probably have learned, just being in this for a while, people are sometimes more unsettling than the paranormal.
Oh, yeah.
So. Especially paranormal.
Oh, yeah.
People, but yeah, that's really interesting. I guess because they filled out the form, you're probably not. Part of me's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Were they like luring you to like, it's kind of like when you did the thing where they're like, if you're going to buy something from someone on Facebook Marketplace, meet them at the fucking police station because something bad could happen. It's like, I hope you're careful, like going out to these places. I would be like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing if you're at Waverly Sanitarium where sanatorium where they don't want to get sued or whatever, but
yeah, and they have someone there on a golf cart doing laps around the location to make sure there's no one trespassing while you're there. I was like, I'm a big brave dog. I can do things on my own. And then I mentioned this case, the abandoned bar people case, before we went and investigated it to a friend of mine who ended up coming with me, and she could maybe fit in my pocket. She's just une petite human being. Terrifying. Absolutely the most terrifying. I would not want to meet her in a dark parking lot. I was like, I'm going to bring her. So that's fine. And her husband caught wind and he's like, I'm not letting you two chuckle fucks go anywhere by yourself. So then he got involved. So now I've got my like little pit bull friend, her 8-foot tall giant husband.
Right.
And their son is like, hey,
oh, is he coming along too?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I watch ghost shows. I would love to join. And I'm like, okay. And he worked security. So I was like, I got myself a bouncer. I've got myself a giant and I have a pit bull tiny friend. And then my mom was like, hey.
Oh boy. Wow. That's like a ragtag crew here.
Oh, it is such a ragtag crew. It's just basically I have a Facebook message that goes out being like, hey, I got an investigation next week. What you doing? And then it's like, I'll meet at your house. I'm like, I will meet you at your, like, we'll carpool. Like we carpool. Like we're going to a football game, high school football game. Like we carpool. We like have our music all picked out. And then we get there and it's like, oh, Megan, the paranormal investigator's here. And I brought my crew.
Nice. Well, then they're like, well, I guess we're not going to murder her now. So
yeah. Like,
way to go. I told you this plan wouldn't work. Like,
damn it. She said she wasn't bringing anybody.
Yeah.
Like, no, I brought my giant human in a minivan. So thank you.
Like, yeah. Like, now where are we going to find a kidney? Jesus.
God damn it.
Oh my God. That's wild. Yeah. I've thought about tipping every time around the fall. I always sort of like think about starting up a little local paranormal thing around here. But then I'm just like, again, does not play well with others. And, and the group dynamic can be pretty dicey. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've done well. Actually, yeah. Here's the next thing I want to ask you about. And forgive me if I mispronounce this. The Coastler Parapsychology Unit. This was like a course you took.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a complete shot in the dark situation. I am an avid lifelong learner, huge nerd. I'm fascinated with research. I mean, you can see my bookshelves. There's not an empty space on them. And I was Googling, as one does, like paranormal degrees. Like, there's got to be people. There are people that have master's degrees in this stuff. Like, how can little old me try to figure this out? So I, was typing in paranormal degrees, trying to figure out, and there was this, it just said parapsychology. And I was like, okay, this is, under the same umbrella with everything. And it's a online course, 8 or 12 weeks, can't remember, through the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And the Kessler research unit is like one of the preeminent parapsychology groups in the world.
Yeah.
And one of their professors is Caroline Watts. I had emailed her. I was like, hi. I'm from Wisconsin. You're in Scotland. And how do I go about, I'm interested in this course. I'm not 100% sure what to do. And she's like, oh, well, I'll put you on the wait list and you can sign up, and courses start in April. Like I did it like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, you can buy my book and all that stuff. So I bought her book, and I went in thinking it was going to be like, we're going to talk about like bare bones. This is what a ghost is. This is what constitutes a haunting.
Yeah.
It was the most enlightening and informative 2.5 months of my life. You would get 1 week would be a topic, like research study methods in parapsychology. And we'd have all these essays and chapters in our textbook and all that stuff that we would read. And you were required to participate in this online discussion board with your group members. And there were people from Argentina. There was someone from Morocco that were there. Wow. Just all over. And people were like, I'm a psychiatrist from this location, and I have a lot of patients that are, exhibiting, what they claim to be, telepathic abilities. And I kind of want to figure out like how I can help them on that. And then you've got me being like, I like looking for ghosts and trying to figure out what this is. And I really think if you're going to go as deep as I am and other researchers in the field, you got to take a course in parapsychology, because they talk about, how there's such a huge push to get parapsychology into the, accepted scientific field. Mm-hmm. But it's so difficult to replicate experiments and instances because it is such a subjective field that, you and I could go into a building and you go, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, the walls are speaking to me. You can't take that experience and then put it in a lab and go, do the walls speak to you here? It's like, no. But they're the ones that, test out these theories that people have. Oh boy, I'm going to forget what it is, but it starts with the G and I really like it. It is where they put the red light and the ping pong balls over your eyes. It's a sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
Thing.
Is it Gansfield or something? Yes,
Gansfield. Yes. Okay. Caroline Watts actually runs in-person studies, and she had emailed me and said, if you're ever in Scotland and you want to add a week to your stay, come on over to the university and we'll hook you up and get you set up. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, please.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. And we would just go through like what constitutes a haunting. Can you haunt an object, which circles to my fascination with the Newkirks and their experiments and their discussions on turning paranormal things into a parascience and getting not set standards, because that's the rough kind of gray areas that you can't really put things into black and white with this thing. But, if someone's coming up with an experiment and can replicate it 10 times in a row in different locations, it kind of gets sprinkled back over to these higher ups, and then they start testing it to see, is this a legitimate form of it? And it was such a interesting course because we talked about ESP, different types of energetic forms.
Interesting.
Everything that's just kind of on the boundaries of paranormal that gets mentioned. you focus heavily on, and you have these discussions with these people from all over the world. And, they're all going like, oh, you're a paranormal researcher. Like, where have you gone and your experiences? So I was able to go from a ghost hunter viewpoint of like, this is how I replicate things. This is how, these things go. And you've got like a French teacher in Bolivia going, I've never heard of any of this, but I'm fascinated. Here's my experience. I had this happen to me when I was 15. And can anyone try to explain this to me? And it would just be these back and forth that I ended up printing them all out and putting them in a binder, because I was like, I got to keep these, because one day I'm going to have to reference this and say, I've got this chat room printout that explains these sort of things. But it was
interesting.
It's something that I heavily want people to be educated in, just to get a concept of things, because it made a lot of things make sense. And then it started putting more questions in my head of like, well, how do you replicate these sort of feelings?
Yeah.
How do you replicate a haunting? How can you do these sort of things? So that it just kind of got the wheels going even more.
Okay, yeah. Wow, very cool. Sounds like it was transformative.
It was awesome. I have all of their textbooks up there.
Yeah.
And they're beefy. Like,
all right. Kessler Parapsychology Unit. Interesting. Yep. All right. I'll look more into that. It's a course.
It's a course. Professor Caroline Watts has a very good book called Introduction to Parapsychology is the name of the book. It's on Amazon, because that's where I got my copy.
Nice. Okay. Now you have a blog entry on your page, and plug it again here already here, investigates.com. And you have one entry about orbs, or spirit orbs, essentially, or like the debate about it, and kind of, I'm interested in that because I find subcultures interesting, and sort of the internal debates and everything. You make it sound like it's quite the hot button issue.
Oh my God. It is. I think if you wanted to start a fight, you just walk into a group of paranormal investigators and go, I think orbs are energy. And then you just walk away.
Yeah.
It would be
They'll chase after you.
Oh, they'll chase after you. They'll slice your tires. Like, it is such a huge debate. I'm on the fence with it. If you can't explain how it showed up.
Yeah. Now, are these orbs, do you mean like, I guess it could be both, right? Or either or, but like orbs in a photo, or orbs like appearing before someone in physical form?
Both, because I've personally had both video and photograph. I've seen balls of light move. I mean, my house has balls of light that shoot through the ceiling and go
weird.
through. And it at first was like, what is that?
Yeah.
You just sit and you're like, those are too high for headlights. And it's in the middle of the day, so no one would have their headlights on. So What is that?
Yeah.
To having them on video and going, that showed up out of nowhere. And, it's not a bug because it moves too slow and it's too methodical, because you can analyze every bit, and there's no wings, the frame rate to see if it, you can find wings and legs and say it's a bug or it's dust, because dust only drops vertically, according to some other posts that like, this is how it works. Like, have you ever been in a dusty building? It's everywhere.
Dust is kind of, it's a little.
It does its own thing, but when, you can see dust on video, and then all of a sudden from the right side of the screen, something goes straight and up and down and back and forth and does all of these very methodical movements. Unless like a bug is on a mission,
Yeah.
you gotta chalk that up to something being weird.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, a lot of these like I love ghosts paranormal pages or like fans of spooky things where they're like, I caught a orb in this picture. Need to take a photography 101 course because most of them are lens flares. Like if you're taking a picture facing the sun, there's going to be in the corner of your photo a tiny teal circle.
Yeah.
That's the sun. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not your Meemaw coming back and saying hello to you. Like that's the sun. And you were, well, I've got this picture. That's a raindrop. Sorry to burst your bubble on that one again, but so that one, that's a
orbs. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mostly see them in photos. I don't see orbs in real life, but so I only see them in photos. And I'm often just like, sometimes it has to be really kind of like kind of what you were describing with the baby, but an orb instead. Like it's got to be something that like I often find that I see a lot of ghost videos through my work with Coast to Coast. So I've seen hundreds of them at this point. Maybe thousands, quite frankly. So it's we've got a lot in there. So we always sort of, I'm very jaded to a lot of this. So what always catches my attention, no pun intended, because I go forward, is when the whatever catches the attention of something else in the video. Because then it's like, okay, they're seeing this thing. It's clearly, it's having some kind of impact on them. Where if it's just like I'm seeing a static thing and like a thing goes by, it's like, I don't know. So yeah, I like when there's like a witness to the thing in the videos.
Yeah, that's I'm a big purveyor of like the top 5 scary things caught on film YouTube compilations. Yeah. And I enjoy watching those and being like, oh, that's completely staged. And then there's the ones where you're like, what?
Right.
What did I just watch? Because I can't explain what that is, but I do like having the witnesses. I mean, if you can show me a reaction to something, or, you even if you didn't notice it, and then, you replay your video later and you're like, oh, what was that in the corner? You can go back and be like, well, I know it wasn't, the sun coming through, or there weren't any cars because you wouldn't be able to hear it on film. I actually had watching some paranormal groups on YouTube. I watched a group go through for our schoolhouse in Iowa. And that's starting, I mean, it's kind of in the background of the paranormal field, but it's starting to kind of push its way to the forefront.
Yeah, I think I heard about it recently. So maybe it was in the news recently.
I think
like a local TV station did something about them or something.
Yeah, there was I think a paranormal group bought it, and
okay,
which made me really happy because I was like, because they was going to be up for sale, and I worried about it being torn down or misused. But I forced my parents to watch it with me because I was like, I was here. We're sitting in the dark. I've got a laser pointer and I have the controller. So I will be pausing and telling you my own experiences as we're this hour-long video is now 4 hours and it's narrated by me. So enjoy my own special edit. And they have on the second floor, so it's a 2-story building. And on the second floor, they have an auditorium. And it's Iowa. So it's flat. It's just corn and just flat country roads for miles. There's a cemetery across the street. There's a house kitty corner. That's it. There's nothing there. And I'm watching this team investigate in the auditorium. And I'm pausing and pointing at the set of windows. And I was like, okay, do you remember when I told you when we came back from Farrar that we kept watching these huge beams of light travel across the wall? And then, it would come back and it was very rhythmic and very methodical as it went across. And my parents were like, yeah, I kind of remember that. And I was like, the other person on the team told me it was car headlights. And I'm like, it is on the opposite side of the road. There would have been no cars. And I'm like, it's been 4 years since I investigated. I was like, son of a bitch. I was right. Watching this video, I'm like, oh my God. I remember arguing, being like, there is no way it's coming from the windows. Like it would cast over the windows. So
Right,
like, there's no way it's coming through. And they're like, oh, it's a bunch of cars. Like, we are in the middle of nowhere in Iowa.
Yeah, couldn't you look out the window and be like, yeah, there's no road there, dude?
Yeah. Also, in this part of Iowa, there was probably a car. Our two vehicles parked out front was the most that this town had probably seen in 37 years. Yeah. So I'm like sitting there and I'm like in my head this entire time talking. I'm like, oh, yeah, it was probably headlights. I'm like, son of a bitch. I was right this entire time. I don't talk to that team anymore. Got bad blood. But I was like, I really should just hop on Facebook and be like, I know it's been a while since we've spoken. I just need to let you know that I'm right about this. And there then just back out back into oblivion.
The Farrar School in Iowa. Interesting. I'll have to look into that one. Yeah. So this is another thing that a lot of these paranormal investigator folks have. You got to have a bucket list, right? You said earlier this Bobby Mackey's was kind of on it. So there's definitely got to be places that you want to go see. So what's your, what are your dream destinations?
I would love to go back to Waverly. That we had an 8-hour tour or an 8-hour investigation. It lasted in my head 15 minutes. We had backpacks full of Red Bull and candy. Like it was like a 5th grader's dream sleepover situation. Yeah. With the goods that we had. And we're like, oh, we'll take naps and shifts because it's going to be 8 hours and all that stuff. Oh, we were hauling ass through that building. And when we looked at the clock and we're like, it's 3:00 and we're done at 4. What happened here? And we're not even done with the building. We have to keep going through. I would love to go back and do floor by floor by floor in that building. Because it got to the point that it was so active, we stopped calling out what we saw. And it would be like, I'm not seeing anything. I'd be like, okay, instead of like shadow person, ball of light, that thing moved. Be like, really? I haven't heard anything in 5 minutes. Like, okay, I haven't heard anything in 5 minutes either. Let's move to another location. I would love to go back there. I don't know what's wrong in Iowa with all the buildings that they have, but Malvern Manor is on my list. Ashmore Estates in Illinois. My aunt does she goes around and does tour guides around the country. And she messaged my mom and I a couple of months ago and said, hey, I'm doing a big train tour in West Virginia. And I'm like, oh, have fun. Go say hi to the Mothman statue for me in Point Pleasant and all that. And she goes, yeah, one of the stops is like this insane asylum.
Oh, yeah, the Trans-Allegheny.
Trans-Allegheny. Oh, she just brought like a group of 30, 80-plus-year-old people to go look at the architecture. And I'm like frothing at the mouth. Like, I'm here. You're going to Trans-Allegheny. And you're not even doing a ghost tour? She's like, they didn't even mention it. Like, you can do an architecture tour or you can do a ghost tour. And she's like, yeah, I was mentioning like, oh, I could call my niece and she could give us like over the phone info. She goes, and all these old biddies were like, that sounds great, but I'm just kind of interested in the Gothic architecture. I mean, it's like, all right, well, you're missing out on a grand opportunity to listen to my niece rant for several hours. But
over the cell phone while we're walking around.
Right.
It's a cool place. I was there 2 years ago. It's nice. It was totally on a whim, too. We weren't even planning on going to the Trans-Allegheny, but we had already done all the stuff we wanted to do in where the alien landed. I forget. The Flatwoods. We went to the Flatwoods. Yeah, and there's a West Virginia Bigfoot Museum there. West Virginia is a fantastic place. I love it. It's true high strangeness.
Yeah.
like personified. It's really a wonderful place.
I would like to.
I may wind up there someday myself.
I feel like I'm going to end up wandering there. If I ever have a state of like a fugue state, I probably would end up in West Virginia. I have a feeling. I would love to go to Point Pleasant just to walk around and just explore and just scan every square inch of West Virginia and Kentucky would be a dream of mine. I would love to get down to the Keys to see Robert the Doll, which I've always big fan. If you're listening from the other side, 100% a big fan. For years, I have been like, I'm going to sneak a picture. If I ever go, I'm going to be that person.
You're going to be the one that breaks the rule?
Yeah. So,
wow, Robert's rules. Yeah. Jesus,
well,
you're daring.
I know.
I would never do that.
I'm like, maybe I'll just be like, and just like turn away and take the picture and just be like, I'm sorry, bud. Well, I get to live vicariously through my other aunt because she took a picture of Robert in February of this year. And I have gotten to watch the karmic debt.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So she just all of a sudden had bad shit start happening to her?
Oh, immediately.
Wow.
My cousins and my aunts went down to the Keys in Florida in February, and I get a Snapchat from my cousin going, "Hey, do you want one of these?" And it's in the gift shop, and it's a little Robert the Doll replica. And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Also, were any of you stupid enough to take a picture of him? Because if I had known you guys were going, I would have, given you a warning. And she goes, "Yeah, our aunt did." And I went, "Well, let's not be busy in 6 months because we're probably going to be attending a funeral. Like, are you kidding me?"
Jesus.
So I go about my business and I get just bing, 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 text messages from my cousin. And she goes, "They're walking out of the gift shop at the museum where Robert is." And my aunt opens the door and a bird flies down and she steps on a bird and kills it.
Oh, wow. What? Whoa.
Right?
That's wild. I love that.
So I had already messaged my cousin. I'm like, tell her to go back and apologize to Robert. Holy shit. Like,
yeah.
I'm in public. Like, I am trying to not just scream to the high heavens. Like, I wanted this to happen, but I didn't know it was going to be this close to home. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, we're on the trolley." And the trolley driver is like, "Hey," because they're talking about stepping on this bird. Like, what are the fucking chances that a bird just swoops down and you just step on it? And, the trolley driver goes, "I'm not a big believer in this sort of stuff, but if you took a picture of Robert, you're going to have to go and apologize to him. Like, just driving a bus." And he's like, "I've heard bad things happen." And my aunt's like, it's just a happenstance. She texts the picture of Robert to my dad. So he comes up from his office and he's got his phone and he's white as a sheet going, "Cindy says this is a picture of Robert." And I said, "Hold on, I have to Google something real fast." And I was like, "Can you get cursed?" Like, could it spread? Is it like, is it like The Ring? Are we about like 7 days from now, we're all going to be dead? Like,
yeah.
What do I do? Good to know for anyone listening. You can be totally fine getting sent a picture of Robert by someone else. It's just that if you're the one that took it. So I was like, hell yeah, open that baby up. Like, we're clean and clear. And my cousin keeps texting me. They're going on a booze cruise later. And I was like, strap her down. Like,
yeah, shit.
She's going to fall off the boat. I get a video of their ceiling fan in their suite just rocking back and forth on high speed. And I'm like, whose bed is underneath that ceiling fan? And they're like, "Oh, Cindy." And I was like, oh my God.
Jesus.
She's going to die.
Wow.
So as this is happening back in Wisconsin, it's February, so it's -3 billion degrees out. And so my uncle decides to be a good guy and go and start everyone's car up to make sure the engine's running. And he gets to this one car and the car key won't turn. And he's like, oh, Jesus. All right. And he's like, oh, did the lights get left on? Is it not turning over? Because I got to jump it. And he can't get the key out of the ignition. He's like, oh, well, if the battery's not burnt out before, it's going to burn out now. And as he's getting it, all the lights on the car, blinker, hazards, dome light, everything goes off. It's my Aunt Cindy's car. That's going all nuts. So he's like, that's weird. And, you know, his wife, my other aunt, calls him, tells him about Robert. And he's like, oh, yeah, Megan told me about that. What the fuck were you guys thinking? And she's like, I didn't take pictures. It was Cindy who took pictures. So Cindy's like, I'm not writing a letter to a doll. And I'm like, you should, because like there's a whole subsection. Worse, It's only going to get worse. A couple weeks later, she's back from Florida and she's walking in her garage, slips, trips, and completely shatters her arm.
Oh, like, shit.
Full on.
Jesus Christ.
She sends us a group. We get these messages like she has to have surgery. It's all this physical therapy. And all of us in the family group chat were like, you need to write a letter to Robert. No, like, oh, well wishes. We hope your speedy recovery. Yeah. We're like, you fucked with Robert.
She might not be able to because her arm's all fucked up. Maybe that was the message for Robert.
So
it's like, oh, you don't want my letter? Well, then fuck you. I'll break your arm.
Right. So now I'm treating this as my own little case study.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, at this point in time, don't write a letter to Robert.
Yeah. You're like,
don't apologize.
Sorry, Robert. Sorry,
Robert. Sorry. Oh my God, we didn't mean it. Yeah. We were joking. But I'm like, now I kind of want to see the long term effects. What happens?
Yeah.
As of right now, my local time's 9:25. She's alive. She's kicking. I will see her next week at Christmas. I will see how she's doing, but it's fascinating. It's like, you know, talking about going to Bobby Mackey's and being like actually going to Bobby Mackey's. But Robert the Doll's this legend for how many decades? Everybody knows Robert the Doll. And now I've got a family member who's been cursed.
Possibly cursed,
by him.
That's great. Yeah, that's a very interesting angle on it. Yeah. I've always wondered about people that, get cursed through that. So, so you'd be interested in checking it out.
Oh,
someday. Yeah, I would too. That's, the keys sound nice in general anyway. So, I've wanted to. There's a lot of cool shit down there in Florida, even though it's kind of crazy down there. But you take the good with the bad. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So, you named some places in Iowa that I'd never heard of. So that must be, it's Wisconsin. This is where I failed my elementary school geography. Is Wisconsin close to Iowa?
It is.
Okay. So you know,
Yeah. I can get to Dubuque if I speed in like 5 hours. So.
Yeah.
And that's Wisconsin. Right, that's Wisconsin logic for you. We don't discuss things in miles. We say how long it takes to get places. So Dubuque is roughly 5 hours away from me.
All right, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't know if I have a bucket list per se myself. I guess Waverly would be one of the few places I'd really want to go see that I haven't had a chance to check out. There's not a lot of because I'm not super familiar with a lot of these places though. This Farrar School you're talking about sounds interesting.
It is really cool.
Yeah, I'm in New England, so we have a lot of our own.
Oh yeah.
Haunted and weird stuff here. Now, as your interests, for folks they can't see because this is audio only, but you are wearing a Hodag shirt. So, do you have an interest in the other realms of the paranormal beyond just the ghost stuff?
Oh yeah, I am a cryptid lover by heart. There is, I got the Hodag when I went into Rhinelander when Greg and Dana Newkirk were doing their book tour last year. So they, out of all places in the entire world, they went to Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and bow down to them for doing that. I went with couple of my friends, and we found an Airbnb called the Hodag House. Chef's kiss. If you are ever thinking about going to Rhinelander, there's roughly, I want to say 100 Hodags, either prominently displayed or hidden. And if you roll over in bed, there is one painted on the wall about good 7 inches away from your face.
That sounds awesome.
And it's
what is the Hodag for people who don't know?
So the Hodag is a cryptid creature that the logging community in Rhinelander claim to have come across. It is a large green beast, scaled and furred beast with long fangs. There's a very good generated photo of a bunch of hunters that have found a Hodag. And it just wanders the woods. And, a couple people have claimed to seen the Hodag. I have not. I wish I could. So we've got Hodag in Wisconsin, allegedly Bigfoot. One of the greatest experiences of my life was going to the Bigfoot conference in Menominee, Michigan, with my friends who actually, they went to prom in the conference room where this,
that's weird.
This event was held. So they're having like
odd flashbacks.
Vietnam flashbacks to prom night. And I'm like, they're talking about finding Bigfoot. Like, this is the greatest day of my life. I bought all this Bigfoot swag. I'm walking around talking with everybody. And they're like, oh, I puked in that corner. Or like, oh, in this bathroom, everyone was crying like at prom and all that stuff. So we've got that. And they
have a Hodag festival, right?
They have the Hodag Fest that you can go up and basically just get drunk in the North Woods, which there's nothing better. Why not? Yeah. There's nothing better. Get drunk around mythical creatures. It's amazing. But I'm a big believer in the physical things. So Bigfoot, Hodags, Mothman is one of my massive obsessions. The Flatwood Monster that you mentioned, big fan of that. Because that stuff, I have an anthropology degree too. So you talk, I could go scientifically into, the missing link and my theories on Bigfoot culture and India, how prevalent Indian mounds are around locations where people spot Bigfoot. It's because they buried Bigfoot elders under the dirt.
Oh, interesting. And that's your theory?
That's my theory, is why, you have to protect the Indian mounds. And there's a lot of, you don't disturb them. It's like, well, if you don't want people knowing what's going on, you just tell them, don't disturb that area. There's stuff under it's Bigfoot. That's my personal.
Okay. All right.
It's Bigfoot. But it's just, that stuff boggles my mind too.
Have you ever, I have not myself. So, but I may be this year in 2025. But have you ever gone on a Bigfoot hunt? It's similar to a ghost hunt, ghost investigations. They're kind of like oddly similar in a way.
I have not, but if I did,
I think I would have heard by now if we.
Oh yeah, I would have been like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I have gone on a Bigfoot hunt." Let me detail it minute by minute. I would love to. I would like to go with the Mountain Monster Men from the History Channel with their show. I would love to go hunting with them. I think it would be amazing. I would just love to just sit like on an ATV and just watch them do their thing and be there when they catch a Bigfoot and be like, this is great. This is the best day of my life, because no one's going to believe me.
Why? Do they release the Bigfoot after they catch him? Is that the...
I don't know. I would like to think it's like a kiss and release sort of thing with like fishing.
Yeah, it's like fishing.
Yeah. And then you just, give the Bigfoot a little kiss on the lips, and then you just send him on his way.
Slap him on the butt and be like, get off back into the woods, Bigfoot. Come on.
Get out of here. Go hunt someone else's land.
So beyond the abandoned bar family, have you gotten additional cases now? Or this is sort of like you're just kind of waiting to see who might reach out one day to be like, hey, I got a thing going on.
I'm patiently waiting for other people. It's a weird time to reach out for people, because usually it's always like a big rush in September and October because, spooky time's around the corner, but spooky time happens 24/7. What I've been focusing more on lately, and I'm actually setting up what I'm hoping, fingers crossed, is going to be a year-long case study, is my family land. My personal house that I'm sitting in right now, I have 3 spirits that reside in here, and I've been trying to get to the bottom of them. I have a very fun blog post about how we brought one in a trunk. So
yes, I saw the
heed the warnings of haunted antiques. But with mentioning, going back to the beginning where I talked about my grandparents' house, I have a couple of locations that have been in my family for over 100 years, and they are paranormally active. And my case study, my theory, what I'm kind of focusing in on is it active because the people who are investigating have blood ties to the buildings and to the land? Is it more easier to communicate and interact if you are related to the spirit that you think you're speaking to? Right. I have plans on bringing some of my other investigator friends to investigate these locations and see if they get similar interactions, if it's harder for them, if it's easier. I don't know of anyone in my circle or what I've seen that has access to ancestral land. And have such, with my mom doing family research for so long, I have names, I have birth dates, death dates, I have stories. Our family, my grandma's Southern, so we don't stop talking. Have huge Northern, Midwestern families. They're all German and Scandinavian, so you have to have double-digit kids or you're going to get kicked out of the city. So I've known of these people who have been dead for over 150 years. Like, I just saw them at the last family reunion. So in my head, they're not gone. They're just, they've always been figureheads in what's going on. So
How long has the property been in your family?
Since 1896.
Wow.
It's been in the family.
That's amazing.
And my grandparents' house has had 3 owners. My grandpa's the 3rd one. So it's been in the family the entire time it's been in existence.
Wow.
So that's the crazy part, because you don't hear about that, and it's very rare, and it's a huge opportunity to kind of do some digging. So I'm coming up with different theories and different ways to test investigative strategies and everything with that. So that's kind of my focus on 2025 is this, trying to investigate. There's 4 locations that my family owns, trying to investigate at least one of those locations once a month. And having a basis of, am I talking to this person? How many times does this person come through?
Right.
Or, are you coming through because I have abilities and you're just, I just happen to think that you're my great grandpa Gus because that's who I hope I'm talking to. Right. But if I can start getting names and locations of like, yep, this person occupies this space, that's that's information that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I think will hopefully how I want to present it to the paranormal community will be interesting enough to be like, I've done this case study. I've had these locations. I have these names and these people and these experiences. A lot of my mom's cousins have had experiences in these locations. And all of a sudden, you know, with me being who I am now and, you know, going full throttle into the weird at family gatherings, they'll walk up and be like, all right.
Oh, and then start telling you stories.
They'll be like, 40 years ago, I'm sitting in this place, right? And I see this thing and I'm like, oh, dude, go on. I'm wrapped with attention. They're like, I don't stay in this room without the light on. And it's like, oh, okay, you're in your 60s and this is something that's been happening your entire life. So it's going to be a lot of interviewing, a lot of experiments, and I'm excited to document it and see what comes of it.
All right. Well, that was kind of you took care of what's next for you or what you got going on in 2025. So I presume you kind of, unless like you feel like you didn't accomplish anything, I assume this is going to be maybe into a book eventually, right? This
I would hope
study. That's kind of I assume the goal, right?
Yeah, it would be very interesting just because of the caseload of information that I have going into it would be fascinating, and the amount of experiences that are coming out of the woodwork would, even one person saying something would be fascinating to a paranormal investigator. When I get 6 or 7 people in the family all saying
it's very
things.
interesting. Yeah, like you were saying, the generational property, the family, different members of the family. Yeah, there's a lot there. It's very interesting. So that's go ahead.
Oh, and the funny part of it all is that we just brush it off. That it's not anything like, if it was anyone else, I think they'd be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean you sleep in this bedroom with the light on for the last 40 years? Us, it's like, oh, hey, past potato salad. Did you see that thing down the hallway? Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Whatever. Like, so it's just been so ingrained in
normalized
that it's going to be an interesting rewiring of my brain to be like, this isn't normal. People just don't have these things. How do I look at it from an analytical standpoint as trying to separate myself from it and go in as an investigator rather than like the great granddaughter of the original homesteader on this land?
Yeah. Interesting. All right. And how will you be like writing about this at your blog, or is this something that's just going to come all out at once when you're kind of feel like you've put it all together?
I think I'm going to do chunks, kind of do some teasers on the blog. I've got a Facebook page under the same name, The Already Here Investigates, that I do some, the memes. I've got the memes. I've got the fun stuff that's going on there. Just random little things. Like, I'm currently working on an antique writing crop that my aunt dropped off the other day.
Yeah, interesting.
That is allegedly haunted. So it's on the floor next to me, just cooking away with
nice
spectral energy. So
there you go. All right. So people can follow your stuff at alreadyhereinvestigates.com. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the conversation, Megan.
I did too.
It was really cool. I really appreciate your passion for all this. I can tell that you're really, you're in it for the right reasons, and I like that. So,
thank you.
Keep up the good work, and I'm going to be following this case study that you're doing, and looking forward to seeing what happens. And I want to know more about it when it unfolds.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll let you know, and just keep an eye out. That it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of experiences coming out, and I'm excited to see who gets their hooks into it and follows along with it. So,
Thanks.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you.